Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do was go over some of my more basic projects that really helped me to understand JavaScript. So this is my website. I'm going to go down here to some other projects right here. And let's see here. So the first like solo project I really did where I didn't really get any help was doing this to-do app. And cannot connect for some reason. That's concerning. What about the expense tracker? Well, that one worked, but all the CSS is gone. That's questionable. Well, let's go fix it. This is one of those fun things that we do. So let me go to my coding. Let me go to, I don't have it in here. Well, that's concerning. Okay, well, I'll show you a new project then. So here's what we'll do. We'll do a new window. We'll do clone git repository, clone from GitHub, and we're going to do my portfolio website. And we're going to save it on the desktop under coding right here. And it will pull in all the information and we'll see what's going on. Open. So here's all my code. So let's see what's going on. If I go to index.html and I go down to the proper location, which should be up here. It should be right down here. Click here to see more projects, other projects.html. So that part works. So if I go to other projects.html, let's go down to the to-do app, to-do, to.html. For some reason, that isn't working. So let's go into here and see what's going on. So let's open this in the live server. And see, okay, so this is working. Interesting. So why could it not connect here? Oh, it's working now. Interesting. Let's go down here and see what's going on here. Let's go back to other projects. Let's go down to expense tracker. Expense.html, here we go. And let's open this in a new window. And it is not registering the CSS. That's all it's not registering. So let's go to the CSS and fix that problem. So, that's because I haven't put in the href properly. So let's go to CSS. Let's go down to expense.css. And let's do that. So /CSS, expense.css. Let's save. Let's go back over here. And here it is. Okay, so the to-do list, which is where you go blah, 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 and you hit add, and then you can one-click to strike through, double-click to remove, which I got this from Andy Serkowitz or something like that. I don't remember. Really great coder online, super, super great at communication. Like, he's fantastic. And so he said, here's some 5 beginner JavaScript projects. Now, here's the whole reason for me so I was just showing you some problem-solving skills, which, I mean, yeah, so I initially built all this on my laptop, and then I got a Linux computer, and I've been working on that. So, but I really wanted to talk about the expense tracker. This project was by far, there's 2 projects that were really, really, really helpful for me in developing and learning how to really understand DOM manipulation in JavaScript. This was really helpful, and like I want to emphasize that building projects for me is the roadmap between, that is the pathway between novice and intermediate, and probably even intermediate to expert. I wouldn't call myself an expert JavaScript programmer by any means, or any stretch of the imagination. I'm terrible at object-oriented programming, and that's something I need to work on. But this was pretty fantastic. If I do, paycheck, and I got, let's say, $2,000, and let's say I track it as an income, it'll give me the income, the expense, and the balance. Now, I haven't tried this on a Linux, so it might mess up. I found out later on, after I built this project, that it doesn't work JavaScript doesn't do math well. I actually was at Free Code Camp doing their cash register problem and figured out that JavaScript is terrible at math. It's just, I don't understand exactly why. I haven't delved into it too much. But let's say I go get gas. So I go get gas. So let's say it costs me $40 because it often does. And now, see, the balances are all working out. And I can toggle between them. Doing all this stuff, getting to toggle the displays, having the math go up here, adding another expense of like $3,000 for, or see, $1,500. Let's say that was for rent, and that was an expense. Oh, whoops! I think I did it twice. I broke it. Don't know what's going on here. Let's reset it. Actually, we'll do this. $1,500. Whoops. Let's see, rent, $1,500, and then we'll mark it as an expense. So that's a bug I just found on this thing, which is that if I'm not on the all button, it doesn't work super well. But you see that the math is still working pretty good. So now let's see what happens if I delete this. Still works. Paycheck? Still works. Delete that. It all works. So somehow when these buttons, when these are hidden, so this was one of the first projects I had done, and it was incredibly difficult. And there's still some bugs in it because I did it a few months back, and I had worked on this thing. I probably worked on this thing 30 hours, and it took so long only because like I could redo it now. It would be so much faster, but it took me so long because I didn't really know what I was doing. I had built some projects, and mostly it was from help. But with this project, I got stuck a couple times, looked up something, but my rule was, I had a rule for myself. I could look up and get help on something only if I didn't have my code open and I couldn't look and I didn't have the temptation to copy anything. So I didn't copy anything. There was a couple places I looked when I got stuck on some things, but this project really boosted my understanding of JavaScript and event listeners and learning how to take things and manipulate information and display that information. And so when I built my other project, my Pexels API connection display, it took me way less time to build. And I did that. I think, again, Andy Serkowitz, he had like 5 projects that he encouraged you to build. This is the only one that took me anywhere near any length of time. The rest of them were, and especially after this was the second one I did. After I did this project, the other 3 projects that he had suggested, which off the top of my head, I can't remember all of the projects. I think it was a to-do app, and then the expense tracker, and then a note taker, and then I believe another one was a val counter. Those were all really easy. And then the last one he suggested was a game, like a card match game. And that, surprisingly, I had no idea how to start, which I'll show you that one. I might need to pull it from my Git repository. I don't think I have it in here, but let's check. Let's see here. Let's see here. No, I don't have it in here, but I can pull it up real quick. So let's do that. File, new window. We'll just do this real quick. Clone Git repository. We'll do memory game. We'll do home. Oh, excuse me, desktop coding. Open. Okay, so let me open this in live server. Okay, so this was. So what was interesting, okay, so here's the project. So it's a Pokemon game. So, you get 2 wrong. I got that one. Nope. Dratini, I know, is up here. Squirtle's up here. Bulbasaur, nope. But we got Bulbasaur there. Pikachu there. And Charmander there. And I got 40 points. And then I can start over and do the same thing again. Right? So I had no idea how I was going to do this project. This was another one of the, and it doesn't look fancy, don't get me wrong, but it was fun kind of pulling in the assets and images. But this was really interesting because what I ended up doing for this, I had no idea how I was going to do this project, but because I had done that expense tracker, I understood that the best way to display information that can dynamically change on a web page with JavaScript is to put it in an array. It took me so long to figure that out. Sometimes when you're learning things, people tell you how to do it, but they don't tell you why it's done that way. And so the information doesn't stick with you. So for me at least, when I build a project, what it does is that it forces me to think about why things should be done the way that they're done. And this was a good example. I had watched one tutorial of someone doing this card flip game. And again, whenever I'm watching something and I know I'm going to build a project, I'm not allowed to have my code out in front of me. I just wanted to understand. And I had watched somebody and they had done this class-based. They had done this with class and methods and that stuff. And it was just, I didn't know how to do that. I probably still don't know how to do it. But I was like, well, how can I just do it? Like, even if I don't know how to do it in a way that would be more conventional, can I solve the problems and get it done? And I remember I was on my laptop and I was typing this out and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was super confused. And then I took a break for like 2 hours, did something relaxing, and came back. And for some reason, it just clicked. And I knocked this thing out in, I think, like an hour or two, including the HTML and the CSS. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. I had no idea. And so it was really fun to build, but what was just really interesting is the fact that you can sit down in front of a code and have no idea what you're doing, kind of try to get things to do what you do, taking one step at a time, and then all of a sudden you take a break and you come back and you're like, oh, I know exactly how to do this. This is a piece of cake. And that's the fun part about projects. And I think too often people are trying to understand. Well, let me not speak for the masses. Too often I'm trying to understand a concept, but I'm not really approaching it in a way that will allow me to truly learn, which is what projects do. So I know that I need to learn React, which I've been working on, just kind of taking in conceptually. And I haven't really done any real projects in React, so if you were to ask me questions about React, I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing, because I've never built a project. And that seems to be, again, the bridge between a novice in a coding language and someone who's at least intermediate and can get stuff done, to advanced is how many projects, how many problems have you come across that you had to personally solve without getting any help? Because the ability to solve the problem exists within the errors within the code that you're working on. And so I know that for me, again, the biggest thing is projects and solving problems. So anyways, that's my cue to go. Take it easy.